Jack White.
Jack White was born March 2nd, 1897, died April 10th, 1984, was a Hungarian-born American film producer, director, and writer. Now, his career in the film industry began in the early 1910s and continued until the 1960s. While produced over 300 films, directed more than 60 of these, and wrote more than 50, he directed some of the silent comedies under the pseudonym Preston Black. Now, his early life, he immigrated to America from Hungary in 1905, while him and his family lived in Hollywood, California. A nearby stable was used to engage in the new business of motion pictures. Jack and his three brothers, Jules White and Sam White and Ben White, rode horses as extras in outdoors westerns. Now, this was the start of the brothers' movie careers, and they began directors and/or producers. The fourth brother, Ben White, became a cameraman. While a teenager, Jack White became the leading producer for educational pictures, making very popular comedy shorts with Lloyd Hamilton, Luciano Lane, Luigi Conley, and Al St. John. By 1926, he had produced a comedy short about educational pictures, The Radio Bug, directed by Stephen Roberts, in both silent and phonofilm version. 1926, Jack White was hired one of his younger brothers, Jules White, as a film editor. By the 1930s, Jules had eclipsed Jack and leading producer of a comedy short, Subjects Largely with the Three Stooges. By 1935, Jules hired Jack as a writer and director. Jack's first Stooges film was Ants in the Pantry in 1936. He worked in the Columbia Shorts department through 1937, rejoined the unit briefly in the early 1940s before serving in the military, then returned to Columbia for good in 1951. During the 1950s, he rising production costs from Columbia to economize to reuse sequences from older pictures. Jules White called upon Jack White to write new scripts. The plausibility incorporated scenes from some other movies. Jack's biggest challenge was probably The Stooges' short Schemers, released in 1956, for which not only had he had to insert old scenes from three older Stooges short films, but he also had to write around the absence of co-star Shemp Howard, who had died in 1955. Jack's creative ideas cleverly hid the patchwork, according to Columbia director Edward Bennett. Neither audiences nor exhibitors ever noticed that the old footage, the new comedies, while worked at the Columbia unit, the comedy shorts unit closed on December 20th, 1957. Now, Jack White stars for the category Motion Pictures, located 6366 Hollywood Boulevard. That's between Hollywood and Ivor and Hollywood and Cosmo. This was a Hungarian-born producer, director, and writer. Career began in the 1910s, continued until the early 1960s, produced over 300 films, directed more than 60, and wrote over 50. He directed during the silent era and sometimes used the pseudonym Preston Black for his films he directed. Now, during his childhood, his family lived in Hollywood, California, nearby stable. Him and his three brothers engaged. Jules, Sam, and Ben went down and rode horses in the film called The Great Train Robbery. This started the three careers for the four White brothers. The first three directors and producers. Ben White was a cameraman. During White's stint as a producer of educational pictures, has hired one of his younger brothers, Jules White, as an editor. Jules later became best known member of the family and returned his earlier favorite younger brother, Sam White, was also a film producer and director. Jack produced over 300 films and short subjects and features during the 1920s and 30s. Brother Jules' career focused on producing and directing short subjects, notably The Three Stooges. By 1935, Jules brought in his brother Jack as a writer and director, sometimes under the pseudonym Preston Black, which also was occasionally elsewhere. Hollywood says that you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, leave a comment, let us know what you think, what you want to see. Hollywood says, remember, every star has a story on the Walk of Fame. Now you know what to do. You know what she told you. She says, now don't forget.